Yo, what is good, Knicks Nation? Welcome back to Knicks Media. This is Richie, and let's talk about Donovan Mitchell because, as we all know, the New York Knicks and the Utah Jazz, they were in trade discussions about Donovan Mitchell coming to the Knicks last week. I want to give you guys my thoughts of all the reports and all the biggest updates about the whole situation about the Knicks and the Jazz trade talks, because we heard from Woj this morning on Get Up, and he had this to say, and I quote, "The Knicks and Jazz will re-engage here at some point in trade talks. The Jazz are not necessarily going to move him quickly, but New York is motivated to get Donovan Mitchell, but I think they're also motivated to not just give up everything to get him." So that's what ESPN's Woj had to say this morning, and there's a lot of reports about the Knicks definitely being interested in Donovan Mitchell, but at the same time, they do not want to give up what Danny Ainge and the Utah Jazz are looking for with that price. So in this video, I'm going to give you guys my thoughts, my overall expectations of, is this trade actually going to happen? Is Donovan Mitchell seriously going to come to the Knicks? Should Leon Rose give up all these players and these picks for Donovan Mitchell? Is he that much? Is he worth it? And I'm going to break that all down in today's video. So before I hop into it, I just want to mention, if you guys are new to Knicks Media, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you guys want to comment down below your thoughts of this scenario of the New York Knicks getting Donovan Mitchell. How do you feel? Do you feel like it's worth giving up all these players and draft picks for a guy like Donovan Mitchell? Or do you think that the Knicks should just run it back with the young core that they have right now and see what they can do? And like the video if you guys enjoy. I really do appreciate all the support here in Knicks Media. It means a lot to me. So let's get right into the video, guys. So first and foremost, man, you guys know where I stand on the whole Donovan Mitchell situation. If you guys are watching my videos, you know that I am all about bringing Spida home to New York City, because not only has this Knicks team been looking for a star for the past who knows how long it's been, but this is the perfect opportunity because the Knicks have had a lot of opportunities in the past to get a star, and it does not go our way for whatever reason. But now we have a unique opportunity here. We have a player who's available on the trade market, who, number one, has a lot of ties to the city of New York. He's from New York. He grew up a Mets fan. His father is from the Mets organization. And Donovan Mitchell, it's pretty obvious that he'd be open to come to the Knicks. And how often is it that there's a star that's open to come to the Knicks? Not often. So why don't the New York Knicks be aggressive and get the deal done? Well, the reason is the Utah Jazz and Danny Ainge, they're asking for the entire Milky Way galaxy for Donovan Mitchell. We saw the report last week that Danny Ainge was expecting around 6 first-round picks, Obi Toppin, Emmanuel Quickley, Grimes, and McBride. Now, that package is out of this world. Ridiculous. We also heard a report from SNY's Ian Begley that like 2 or 3 weeks ago, before the Knicks signed Mitchell Robinson to a contract extension, the Utah Jazz were asking for RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson, and 3 first-round picks, and the New York Knicks were not, or they did not want to. We all know that they do not want to trade RJ, and they obviously want to keep Mitchell Robinson here long term. That's why they gave him that contract. So it's obvious that the New York Knicks and Leon Rose are holding on their ground. They're not going to be that team that's just going to trade everything for one player like they did in previous regimes. And I feel like that's what the Utah Jazz and Danny Ainge are doing right now. They're like, know that the Knicks are that franchise in the past that they are aggressive for stars if they become available, like the Melo trade. We gave up a lot for Melo. So what Danny Ainge is doing is they're showing the bait. They're saying, all right, Dolan, you want Mitchell? We're going to offer you this crazy package. You're going to take the bait or not. But shout out to Leon Rose and the Knicks front office for understanding value and understanding that this is not the same Knicks regime. We're not going to give up our entire team for one player. But at the end of the day, that should not be an excuse for Leon Rose and the Knicks to get this deal done and somehow make sure that Danny Ainge and the Jazz understand that what they're offering and what they want from the Knicks is just absolutely ridiculous and absolutely unrealistic. I think that if they can shrink the deal down to around 4 or 5 first-round picks and like 2 of, Obi Toppin, Quickley, Grimes, and McBride. 2 of those 4 players, preferably. It's so hard to discuss which players I want to give up because in reality, I want to keep all of them. But that's not realistic if you want to bring Donovan Mitchell to the Knicks. So it's obvious that the Jazz want to make sure that they get a lot of draft picks. And I also feel like the Knicks are in a really good situation because the Jazz understand that the Knicks are the team that has the best package to offer. If you look at the other teams that are available, are potentially interested in Donovan Mitchell, the Miami Heat, they do not have a lot of draft picks to send over to the Utah Jazz. The Brooklyn Nets, we all know what's going on with the Brooklyn Nets, and they might have an interest in Donovan Mitchell, but after that DeAndre Ayton situation, going back to the Suns, they do not really have a lot of leverage in potentially getting Donovan Mitchell. So it's really up to the Knicks to make sure that they don't sleep on this. They don't just sit on their hands and say, oh, well, we're just going to be patient. I feel like the Knicks have to be aggressive here. I know that the Knicks do have some leverage, in my opinion, because they are the team that has all the picks. They are the team that the Utah Jazz want to make a deal with, because the unprotected Knicks first-round picks are very, very valuable. And I know that Danny Ainge would absolutely love to have 2 or 3 unprotected Knicks first-round picks. So if the Knicks can get some, talks with Danny Ainge and understand that, listen, this is the package. It's either you walk away with it or not. I do not know if it's actually going to happen, but according to all the reports and everything that I'm reading online, I don't have any sources at all. I'm not saying I do, but all the reports from Woj and all these different articles that I'm reading from Ian Begley and SNY and ESPN and The Athletic, it really feels like Donovan Mitchell's coming to the Knicks. It's just a matter of time of when it's going to happen. This can, stretch on for 2 or 3 weeks from now, because, there's honestly no rush from the Jazz's perspective on their end. They're sitting back, they're waiting, they're going to test the market. They're going to say, like, all right, New York, you don't want to do this trade package. Let's see what the Heat's going to offer. Let's see if there's another team out there that might be able to give us another package. So the Jazz are going to be patient with this, but at the end of the day, if you're the Jazz, you do not want to have Donovan Mitchell on your roster heading into training camp, because it's obvious that they're going into a rebuild. It's obvious that the Utah Jazz are trying to go all in the NBA draft and build through there. So you do not want to have Donovan Mitchell be on your team, because that's going to, first of all, help you win games. And if you're a tanking team, you don't want to be able to win games. You want to lose games for the draft. So there is some type of time that's going to be, ticking for the Utah Jazz front office to get a deal done. But at the end of the day, there's still some time. I mean, it could take weeks, could take a day. I mean, all of a sudden the deal can get done tomorrow for all we know, but I really feel like this deal is going to get done, and I'm all in, man. I really am all in for Donovan Mitchell. The Knicks would be absolutely back if the Knicks get Donovan Mitchell. And no, I do not think that's going to make him a contender this year. I don't think we're going to make the championship. What I do think, though, is if the Knicks get Donovan Mitchell, which is why I want him so bad, it's the first step of becoming that team that is, first of all, an attractable destination and that can potentially become a contender in the future. Because when you get Donovan Mitchell and you pair him up with a young RJ Barrett and you pair him up with Jalen Brunson, who's an ascending young player, then all of a sudden, this Knicks team, they'll be significantly improved this season, but then a couple years from now, the Knicks have a lot of flexibility. There's some contracts on this team that they can still get rid of and acquire cap space in order to attract an even bigger star than Donovan Mitchell. Can you imagine that? Now, I don't know which star that's going to be. That's obviously me thinking way in the future and me having a little wishful mindset, but I think that's what the New York Knicks front office mindset is when it comes to building a championship roster, at least I hope, because that's what it's all about, guys. We're not just trying to make the play-in tournament. We're not just trying to make the playoffs. We're trying to win a championship here in New York, and like, we know that's pretty unrealistic for this season, even if we get Donovan Mitchell. But Donovan Mitchell is that stepping stone, because you imagine this: we get Donovan Mitchell now. 2 or 3 years down the line, RJ Barrett's developing, Donovan Mitchell's developing as well. I mean, he's already established star. And then we get a star that's even better than Donovan Mitchell. And all of a sudden, Mitchell's the number 2 and RJ's the number 3 option. And all of a sudden, you seriously have a contending team. Now, I know that star that I'm talking about is a wild card. We don't know who it is. A lot of things has to go the Knicks' way in order to get that guy. But there's no denying that you get Donovan Mitchell, he becomes a player on this Knicks team where we're an established squad and we're an attractable destination. We have a star in Donovan Mitchell who was a well-liked player around the league. And we know that when the Knicks are good, the NBA world is on top. And that's what it's all about. So let me know your thoughts down below. Do you think Donovan Mitchell is going to come to the Knicks? What's your latest thoughts of all these reports about Woj saying that there is a lot of excitement, a lot of anticipation surrounding the Jazz and the Knicks, and they're probably going to be talking soon about a deal. But at the same time, the Knicks do not want to give up everything for Donovan, but they really do want him. So it's a very interesting scenario and a situation that's going on with the Knicks and the Jazz. So I'd love to hear what you guys have to say down below in the comment section. I love to read every single one of your comments. Like the video if you guys enjoy, and I'll catch you guys in my next one. Let's go Knicks. Peace out.